Hello, everybody. Welcome today. I wanted to talk about a really interesting thing, or I thought was really interesting, how we're a composite of male and female energy. I don't mean being a male or being a female physically, I just mean the energy in us, how we live our life, whether we come from a more male perspective or masculine perspective or more female. And each of us have got our own individual combination of what we have. I believe that we genetically are born with that. We might be predisposed. So if our father had a lot more male energy, we would have that. If our mother had more male energy, we'd pick it up from her, or vice versa. If they had more female energy, we'd pick it up from either parent or somewhere in our generational background. It can also change because of environment. So if we've been having a lot of female energy but we've been threatened, and we need, whether we're male or female, to have more male energy to take the feeling of having more power and more control, we maybe will work at using and doing more of that kind of energy. So we will come over more masculine energy, we'll work on building that up, and we will diminish our female energy, and vice versa. If we are in a more nurturing role and we need to be more of an empath, in that way, we might bring up our feminine energy. These two energies exist in us, and I found it really, really fascinating when I started looking at different people and how much of each energy they had. What I discovered was, whether you were born as a boy or a girl initially, that the amount of energy that you have will actually predetermine a lot of your behaviors. The more male energy, the masculine energy, tends to be more aggressive. Your energy will be more aggressive. You will want to have control and power. And I found that they come very much from the head. The masculine energy will be very head driven. And that in that energy, you'll often find that's where you'll find people who are control freaks, unfortunately, because that's a very masculine kind of energy, to take control and be the boss and always have it your way. I found that part interesting. Whenever I went and checked someone who was a control freak or had a look at them, they had a lot of male energy. The female energy is different. It comes more from the heart and it's more nurturing. There's more empathy and compassion in that, and in some ways the power isn't as strong. They don't come so much from power and control with that energy. You'll be coming more from love from that energy. It's a quieter energy. It feels quieter to me, and it's very, very sensitive. The masculine energy that we have can be a little bit harsh, not as sensitive, a little bit, this is how it is and this is how it is, and there's no negotiation within it, where the female energy seems to be more soft. There's negotiation within it, and it's that more soft, sensitive side of who you are. It's really important to see if you can get a equal balance, because that will make you a more balanced person. That's why I'm doing this podcast, because I think if you're more balanced, it'll be a better life for you. You will probably know which one you are. The telltale sign for me was control. If you're very controlling and you like to get your own way and you have issues with power, that you always have to have power over other people, and you'll know if you're like this, then you've probably got a lot of masculine energy, because that's what goes with that energy. And so if you want to diminish that, you need to drop the power and control, and then let everyone else do what they want to a degree and empower others. You have to almost step down. Also, your language and your way of speaking will be more aggressive. I think you also have a tendency to be more angry. I think female energy might hold more passive aggression in it, because they're frightened to come out and really show anger. However, the male energy will be very direct, and they will really take control of situations. So you might want to change some of your behaviors and pull your energy back. And also, maybe if you don't want to have as much male energy, you want to pull it down. Don't come so much from your head. Try and come more from your heart. So you'll come more from the heart and how it feels, and try to be more compassionate and try to be more empathic with people, and that will bring it down into a nice little balance there. With the female energy, if you want to bring that up, you would want to become more nurturing, more kind, more sensitive, come more from the heart. You will probably have issues with power as well. If you want to bring your female energy up, you might want to look at that. Often the female energy doesn't appear as powerful. I think it's a power in a different way. It's more of an empowerment power, if that makes sense, whereas the male energy is more power. It's important to have the balance, because what I've noticed is you'll actually attract people in your life who have the opposite to you, because then you make like a complete unit. For example, if you've got very little masculine energy and quite a lot of female energy, you will actually seek someone who's got a lot of male energy to balance you, and they'll probably have less female. So you'll actually be the reverse of one another, but when you go together, you sort of make a complete pattern. Have a look around you. I think it explains who you're with and why you're with them sometimes from an energetic point of view, and I'm talking energy here, and this will sort of help you in some of your relationships. I noticed that for me, I didn't have as much masculine energy. I have more female energy in my aura, and that was interesting because I think when I was born it was probably a little bit more equal, but once I got into real life, because of the abuse that I suffered at the hands of my father, who was obviously the big male energy, I think it actually diminished my male energy. It actually can make it go down. And there can also be a reverse later on when you're older, whereas because of it, you just start coming from that place of the male energy, because that makes you feel more safe. Because when you're too female, you were like overwhelmed, overtaken. The other thing is that your environment is very important, because in your household or in your relationships, this energy is always activating the female or the male energy in people. And once you start to recognize it more, you'll be able to deal with it better. If you find people are becoming too big in one area for you, then you need to see that and make different choices about how you're going to deal with it. The masculine energy and the female energy in their own right are really good. They both have their complements. They also have their little defaults, but they both have their complements and their good parts to each one, and you want to have them. It's just that you want them to be about equal. And when I went around checking people who were kind of in the middle and had a bit of equal, like the same amount in each one, I felt their life was a little bit more balanced. However, when I looked at people who had too much masculine energy, like in comparison to how much feminine, or too much feminine and no masculine, I feel that their lives are going to be more difficult down here because of the imbalance. It's like an imbalance. It won't be your fault, whether genetically you came in like that, or whether it was an environmental damage that occurred to you from what happened to you in your life or in this life that has diminished it or made it more. It's not really your fault, but I think the reason I'm doing the podcast is because you probably don't even realize it's happening. You will kind of know. People who have a sense of it will actually use that area that they feel most comfortable in, whether it's the masculine or the feminine, and they keep coming from those places. But it's really good to do both. If you're having too much feminine energy and not enough masculine, it's probably time to look at taking control in some parts of your life, standing up for yourself, empowering yourself, maybe coming from the head, not always the heart. Sometimes you need both, like you do both together, so you come from the head as well. And you also have that strength and maybe become more assertive. I wouldn't say to become more aggressive, because I don't particularly think that's that helpful. It's a good way to vent your anger, but it's not that great really. It's more important that you become more assertive. Likewise, if you've got too much masculine, you need to pull all those things down, come from the heart, become less aggressive, become more nurturing, become more soft. And there's a vulnerability with female energy, I feel, that you don't have with male energy. So you might have to allow yourself to become more vulnerable and to become more open to balance it out. I found this such a interesting thing this week, and when I really started to look at the different people in my life and in my family, I could see the patterns, and once I saw the patterns, it kind of all made sense. I wanted to warn you that people who look like the most feminine little thing, you know, with all the painted nails and looking so beautiful with her hair in a pretty pink dress, can often be people who are full of masculine energy, male energy, and very little female energy. And you can sort of be duped a little bit. So be aware of that. What you see isn't always what you get. Often those little sweet-hearted looking people, whether they're male or female, can have a lot of masculine energy, even though they appear quite feminine in their demeanor. And likewise, someone who looks really masculine and really beefy and like that can be a person who doesn't have actually a lot of masculine energy. They have a lot more female energy in them. And so you can also be sort of like misled by how people appear. I found for me the biggest one was the control thing and the power and the head thing. To me, they were the signs of where everyone was at. And I don't think one or the other is better or worse than the other. I just think the outcomes of the masculine one will be overpowering possibly other people when you shouldn't be, and wanting to control everything and being too head rational. And the negative one of being too much feminine energy is that you don't have your own personal power, you don't stand up for yourself, you perhaps need to also see the head stuff, not always coming from how you feel. You have to look at the big picture and sometimes go to where the head thinks to make some head decisions and use that part of you as well, which is the more masculine. Have a look around, you'll find them now, you'll see them, and it's really fascinating. And try and balance yours so you get a good mix, like a good balance of each, and then I think that's better for you long term. So I'm sending you lots of light. I hope you have a balanced week with your male and your female energies.